That is there an action not born of thought? You understand my question? All our action is based on thought, with all its consequences. Now we're asking, is there an action? Is there a way of living in daily life in which thought doesn't operate? You understand this? It isn't a question that you just play around and discuss and all the rest of it. One has to find out. That means you must put passion into it, vitality, energy to find out. Those who give research, scientific research or technological research, they love it. It's their life, their blood, their bread and butter. Everything is first. Then their wife, their family comes second. The same way we're asking. Passionately. Is it possible? I say it is. I'll show it to you. Please don't accept it, because you don't know what it means. So don't come to any conclusions. Don't translate what is going to be said into your own terminology. Then you're lost. Then you are driven by the language which you know. Therefore, you become a slave to language. But we are using language, not your conclusion, my conclusion, or just words without any circus around it. Then we can communicate happily and easily. There is an action, a total, complete, holistic, whole action in which thought doesn't interfere at all. Are you waiting for me to tell you? That's rather cheap. I do all the work, the speaker does all the work, and you just listen and say, yes, I agree with that. What's the point of that? But whereas if you really, desperately want to find out, like an unhappy man, a drowning man, it's desperation to find some kind of thing to hang on to so that it can be saved. There he exerts all energy. And that's what we are doing. First of all, do we see very clearly, each one of us, wherever we are, whatever our situation, whatever our conditioning, whatever neurotic we are, most of us are, do we see very clearly that thought under all circumstances is limited? Not a verbal acceptance of it, but an actual fact which you, in your blood seed, irrevocably, then if you see that, not as an idea, not as a conclusion, not a thing reasoned out and therefore it is, if you do, it's still thought. So when you realize that thought is completely, totally, wholly limited, and from that limitation, all activity, whatever type it is, must be limited. And therefore, as in human relationship, it creates havoc, misery. From there you ask the question. You understand? Not if you haven't done all this. And you can do all this instantly, not take time, years, months. Then you can ask, is there a perception devoid of memory, devoid of remembrances, devoid of, totally divorced from the past? Is there an observation, and therefore out of that observation, action? You follow what I'm saying? You look all puzzled. All right, I'll take it up again. We understand our action is based on memory. Either ideological memory, a utopian memory, or memories of past actions which have left certain marks on the brain, and all such activity must be continuously destructive in human relations. If I love you because you have been pleasant to me, which is you have given me something sexually or this way or that, which is from memory, with the pleasure of it, I say I love you. So is there a love which is not born of memory, which is not the result of give and take, which is not sensation? Obviously, there should be, or this all we know. Let's put it that way. This thing that we call love is all this. And that love breeds jealousy, anxiety, possessiveness, attachment. And out of all that, there is great misery. And is that misery love? Don't say no or yes. If that is not love, and you have totally abandoned jealousy and for all that which is left completely, that is love. Right? So in the same way, if one understands the whole movement of thought as memory and time, and born out of the past, and therefore endlessly curtailed, limited, narrow, if you see that very clearly and therefore abandon it, then you have what one may call insight. I'm going to go into it very slowly. Insight. Insight, we mean by that word, according to dictionary, to have a sight in something. An immediate perception of truth in that which is being talked about. That is, you have talked to me about the limitation of thought. You've talked to me. I've listened to you with all my energy. Because perhaps there is a new way of living, a new way of action. And I've realized my actions have always been bringing such sorrow, confusion, and misery. And I've listened. And you say to me, have you really let go? Have you seen the truth that thought is limited? The truth of it, not the idea of it. Seeing the truth of it is to have insight. Have you got it? That insight is not memory, is not idea, is not something out of the past. You see directly the truth of it. And from that there is action, which is complete. So you, as a human being, and you who are the representative of all humanity, so you are the world. If you understand, if you see the truth of this, then that truth will act in the world. You don't act. So, quelle heure est-il? Quoi? So, we have seen the mischief of thought which is limited, which has created the individual, and the opposite of non-individuality, which is totalitarian authority and all the rest of it. We also see that thought stored up in the brain as memory, knowledge, that very brain cells have become limited. God's sake, see. Because, of course, obviously. But when you have an insight into all this, the very brain cells are no longer limited. The brain cells are functioning totally differently. Do this, please, do it. Don't say yes. How marvelous. What a wonderful speak that was. Which are all romantic nonsense emotionalism. That has nothing to do with actuality. Can you see the truth that knowledge has its place technologically and has no other place psychologically, which is to register? So, if you see the truth that registration, like hurt, brings narrow acts, limited acts, from which hate, violence, and all the rest. If you see the truth of it, then you will see you have an insight. You have an insight into the whole movement of thought. Therefore, thought then limits naturally itself and remains there. You don't have to say, I must stop thinking, and that's too silly.